Okay, hopefully this will be a quick one. Here we have the operator stats up through Playday 7 of the NAL, Stage 2, 2021. As you can see, not terribly different from last time, but still some differences. You can look back at the other video if you're curious about the differences, because I don't remember all of them. We're now up to 311 rounds played in total. The breakdown for maps are 8 chalets with 80 rounds, 6 consulates with 73 rounds, 6 cafes with 61 rounds, 3 villas with 40 rounds, 2 coastlines with 29 rounds, 2 Oregons with 16 rounds, and 1 clubhouse with 12 rounds. So obviously this data is going to be skewed in favor of operator picks on chalet, and on the other hand, not very affected by operators picked on clubhouse. There are 7 maps in the pool, and there have been 7 play days with 4 games per day. So each map, if all things were equal, would have been played 4 times. But of course, no maps actually have been played 4 times. We have 3 maps that have been played more than 4 times, and 4 maps that have been played less than 4 times. So keep all this in mind. Chalet makes up over a quarter of the rounds, consulate almost a quarter of the rounds, so things are going to be a little bit weird. So in total, we have seen 53 different operators played. There are 60 operators in the game right now, and 59 in pro play, because Thunderbird is not allowed yet. So we have seen every attacker except for Callie, Montaigne, Nock, Fuse, and Blackbeard. And for defense, the only defender we haven't seen is Kavira and I guess Thunderbird, but again, she's not allowed. So since last time, I think we've seen Dokkaebi come out, Amaru, Rook, and that might be it. Every other operator might have been played already last time when I did the video after, I think, Playday 4. So just a few new developments. I think Ace was the least picked or least present or something last time, but now he is both the least picked and least present hard breacher. Maverick is now above him, and Thermite and Hibana remain above him. The top 5 attackers by presence are Zofia, Thatcher, Sledge, Nomad, and Hibana. And the top 5 defenders by presence are Valkyrie, Jaeger, Mira, Mute, and Smoke. If you're curious about the top 5 attackers and defenders by pick, that's how it's organized, so just look at the top 5 and picked when available. It's pretty similar. Sophia continues to be the most present operator as well as the most picked operator, and then Jaeger is still on top for defense, but only by pick rate. If you are looking at presence, it's actually Valkyrie that's on top. Mute is catching up to Smoke. Mute's only been picked 1 less round than Smoke, and he has 40 ban rounds, so he has a much higher presence. And then to talk about bans just a little bit, Thatcher, Valkyrie, and Mira put together, so only 3 operators. They make up over half of the operators banned. That's in the metric of rounds. I didn't actually check how many just individual bans, but it's like 51% or something of all the banned rounds are Thatcher, Valkyrie, and Mira, so those are just the operators people don't want to deal with the most. There are only a handful of attackers that have been picked on each playday. They are Zofia, Sledge, Hibana, Jackal, Thermite, Ashe, and Yana. And then Thatcher and Nomad both had days where they were banned every single game, so likely they would be picked in those days. So if it wasn't for those bans, they'd probably be on that list as well. And then Flores, on the day that he wasn't picked at all, was banned twice, and I'm assuming in one of those games probably he would have been picked, and that's why he was banned, of course. So maybe you can throw Flores on there if you want, but there were 2 other maps played in that day where he wasn't banned, where he could have been picked and he wasn't picked. And then defenders picked every day, we have a lot more. Jaeger, Mute, Smoke, Mozzie, Aruni, Goyo, Frost, Vigil, Malusi, Pulse, Wamai, Valkyrie, Mitra. What is that, like 15 almost? It's around 15. And then Mira also had a day where she was banned in every game, so she would probably be on that list as well if it weren't for the bans. So the top 10 attackers make up about 78% of attacker picks, and defenders make up about 76% of defender picks. So it's pretty close there. Still a little bit less variety in attackers. And then if we look at the top 5 attackers and defenders, for attackers it's 56%, and for defenders it's 52%. So even a little bit more pronounced there. The top 5 attackers are picked more often than the top 5 defenders are. Still, the way this game works is that the defenders get to choose which bomb site they're going to defend, and then attackers have to guess which one the defenders are going to defend, and then pick their operators, and then they can find out for sure which one. So until they implement a system, and I think they did talk about doing this, and we'll see if they actually do it, but a system where attackers get to switch their operators during the drone phase or after the drone phase or something like that, it's going to probably remain this way, where defenders can be picked a little bit more freely, whereas attackers, you really need to make sure that you have certain things checked off the list. The top 13 attackers make up over 90% of attacker picks, and the top 15 defenders make up over 90% of defender picks, so it's the same kind of thing. You have to include 2 more defenders before you get to 90%. And so that's only 28 attackers and defenders together that make up 90% of the picks in total, which isn't terrible. Again, only 59 operators in play, and they're picking almost half of them. I guess 29 and a half would be half, and we're at 28, so that's not terrible. There's a decent amount of diversity right now. Could be more, but still it's pretty decent. And then there are only 5 attackers that have been picked fewer than 10 times, and there are 8 defenders that have been picked fewer than 10 times. So there's just a few more defenders that are just been picked, you know, a few times, just whenever somebody felt like it or thought it would be a nice pocket pick to pull out. And then let's just look at the top of the list one more time. So for attackers, Zofia, Sledge, Hibana, Iana, and Nomad. So in there we have 1 flank watch in the Nomad. We have 2 sets of frags in the Sledge and the Iana. We have some more intel gathering on top of the drones in Iana. We have hard breach with Hibana. We have 2 sets of stuns for clearing in Hibana and Nomad. And then you can also use Zofia stuns if you need to for clearing. And then you also have some explosives on top of the frags. You have Iana's Gone 6, and then you have Zofia's explosive rounds, and then you have a nearly unlimited soft breach tool in Sledge's hammer. So just by picking those 5 operators every single round, and of course there's bans and stuff, but if you were just to pick those 5 every round, you'd have a pretty solid lineup. And then for defenders, Jaeger's still on top. You gotta not get fragged and flashed and all these things. Smoke's still really good. Best area denial, time stalling operator in the game. He also gets a shield. He also has a good gun kit. Mute, same gun kit. Then he gets a C4 for some plant denial, and then his mute gadgets just keep getting stronger and stronger with more operators being added, like Flores. Mute and Mozzie are like the only way to counter him, unless you can just reliably shoot his drones. But gadget-wise, they're the only way to stop him. And then Aruni, just people love the Roni, and Mozzie as well. People love the Roni. And then Mozzie, good info denial gadget. Aruni slows down attackers and burns their gadgets. And I guess that's about it. You can see sort of the meta that's going on here. Defenders are kind of versatile. They still are trying to stop attackers from using their gadgets with things like Jaeger and Aruni, and then I guess Wamai to a lesser extent. But now information is more prevalent than it was in the previous meta, where bulletproof gadgets were all the rage. Melusi is still pretty high, but she's not way up there. Maestro, Goyo, things like this. But Aruni, Mozzie, Mute, characters that just slow down the progression and information gathering of the attackers are pretty popular. And then for the attackers, there's just a good mix of things. The operators that can do the most things the most effectively are the ones that are picked the most. And then there's a few that are really good at certain things, so they are taken in some number of rounds. And I guess that's gonna do it. Let me know if you have any input about any of these charts or anything, any questions.